Hey, welcome to World War III, everybody. Politico reports Russia threatens consequences for U.S. over Crimea missile strikes. What exactly? Time will tell. Kremlin spokesperson warns Washington. You know, I think it was Elad who was here. I'm not sure. It sounds like something Elad would say when he said they will do nothing. And this was a previous issue because, and again, I think it was Elad Eliyahu, shout out. He was just like, every single time the U.S. escalates and blows up Russian ships and sends more weapons, Russia grumbles and does nothing. So they're not going to do anything now. And this was I think that was like the HIMARS missiles. Now, this is crazy. Reportedly, civilians were killed. Is that?
Yeah, if I understand correctly,
right.
It's 5.
I watched these videos, and it was people on like a beach, and it was, what did they say? Ukrainian forces targeted military radar station in Crimea, used to monitor deep space and handle satellite data. And reportedly, here we go, Russia's defense ministry claims to have intercepted 4 of the missiles. Fragments of a 5th detonated in midair after being struck by air defenses, killing 4 people and injuring 151 on the ground. According to the RIA Novosti report, the U.S. agreed to deliver long-distance ATACMS, ATACMS missiles with a 300-kilometer range to Ukraine early this year, with the White House also agreeing in May to allow Kiev to use detonated weaponry to hit targets inside Russia and on territory claimed by Moscow. Russia's state-owned media outlet TASS reported Monday that the Kremlin has summoned U.S. Ambassador to Moscow, Lynn Tracy, to the foreign ministry in response to the Crimea attack. I'm not sure if it was a lot, but I got to agree with that assessment. At this point, I'm actually not so sure that Russia will do anything. I thought for a while that we would see the use of tactical nuclear weapons. They would not back down. But if your own civilians are blown up by U.S. forces and you say nothing and do nothing, I'm pretty sure the U.S. can steamroll you and you will beg and you will bend your knees. So Russia saying, oh, well, we'll do something about how you killed Russian civilians. Wow. Russia is impotent. I don't know what to say.
I don't think that Russia wants to actually get into a direct conflict with the U.S. I don't see how that benefits them. Russia's got the upper hand in Ukraine. They likely are not going to be giving back any of the territory that they've taken in the long run. The U.S. will likely still continue to do its best to drain Russia by sending money over to Ukraine. I wish they'd stop, but I'm only
You're the messenger here.
Yeah, I'm only saying what seems likely, not what I desire. But it's likely that the United States is going to continue to send money to Russia or to Ukraine to kill Russians because Russians are dying and Russia's expending money and they're expending weapons and et cetera. I don't think that it's going to have a significant effect on Russia, but it does weaken Russia. And Russia, I don't care how many people out there are like, oh, America bad. The U.S. is still the biggest, toughest guy on the block. And whether or not we could stomp, a country into the Stone Age in a matter of 2 months, or whether it would take more effort and stuff, that's neither here nor there. The outcome of most wars, actually, the outcome of any military conflict, save for one involving nuclear weapons, is already determined if the participants are the United States. The military side will win. The politics side, the U.S. will lose. They'll make bad decisions. They'll do Afghanistan. They'll do Iraq, whatever. But the engagements themselves, the United States military wins, and they are going to continue winning until there are significant changes on the conventional battlefield.
I'm just confused by his phrasing, and I'm no foreign policy buff in the extreme. But what exactly time will tell? Is that not the most vague and what did you say, impotent wording?
Yeah, this is basically, look, it's like imagine 2 guys are at a bar and one guy hits the other guy in the face, and then he falls down, gets up and looks him and squints his eyes and goes, ooh, I'm going to get you. Who knows? What exactly? Time will tell. It's like, okay, buddy.
Literally.
Like, what are you going to do? You know what I mean?
He's going to steal the straw out of his drink later. That will very much inconvenience him.
They're going to do things like support Iran. They're going to send money and weapons to North Korea. They're going to do the things they've been doing. They're going to continue to funnel money to Hamas and Gaza, and anything that Russia gives to Iran is going to end up in the hands of Hezbollah. So they're going to continue to do what they're doing. I don't see them taking on the U.S. directly because that's just something that they're going to lose, especially when they're already engaged in a war with Ukraine, which they are winning, but it's costing.
I think I'm happy to acknowledge my ignorance on this point, but I do think that ultimately the conversation I'm most interested that Russia is having is with other countries it views as diplomatic allies. Vladimir Putin was just in North Korea. He was in Vietnam. There are other countries that are trying to walk the balance of keeping America happy and keeping China happy and keeping Russia happy. And I think there are a lot of countries that are beginning to view America as a supporter of aggressors and aggressive in some of the policies it enacts itself. So in some ways, with anything else, I'm sure Russia is upset at its own loss of civilians, but also being able to say, yeah, America is the toughest guy in the block, but ultimately he is bullying you out of a way of life and he's putting your citizens in danger. That's a very challenging narrative for America to overcome, especially during an election year with a change in leadership at home.
I really do feel like if the U.S. blows up Russian civilians and Russia can't do anything, it shows weakness. But that being said, I wonder if the Putin position is, you got a guy who half the country thinks took a dump on stage in France. How about we just wait a little bit? And when Trump comes in, it's over. There's no fighting. Trump will not tolerate that. And we know this because Donald Trump, I believe he ordered an airstrike on Iran and called it off at the last minute and then publicly stated the death of the Iranians was not worth the attack. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was like a U.S. drone was taken down or something. Trump ordered an airstrike on Iranian targets, was informed of how many people were expected to die in the attack, and then he says, don't do it, pull it back. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was like, the amount of people who would die for this is not appropriate retaliation.
Do you remember during the CNN town hall debate, or not even debate, just town hall, the lady was trying to push him on how would you end Ukraine or what would you do in Ukraine? And he was like, I just want people to stop dying.
You don't want Ukraine to win? And he's like, I just want the dying to stop.
Yeah.
I don't know that, I'm not saying that I can predict this or that I have some kind of inside knowledge, but it seems to me that it would make sense for Putin to be trying to outlast, Biden in the hopes that that Donald Trump gets in, because Donald Trump actually will want to tell them to stop the war. It's my impression. Again, I can't speak for the guys. I can't read minds or anything, but it's my impression that he will actually want to stop the war, and that means that he'll put pressure on Zelensky, and that means that Putin will. What I think Putin is hoping for is to be able to hold the land that he's already taken. Mm-hmm. I don't think that he is actually really that concerned with taking all of Ukraine. I think that the land, the territory that he's taken will suffice for now. Maybe in the future, if he lives another 10, 20 years, maybe in another 5 years, he would make some more advances after Donald Trump were to get out of office. But I don't think that he would continue to try to push in Ukraine if Donald Trump was the president, because I don't see that. I think that he would look for the way out because it's his escape route.
And Putin has lost on another major issue, which is that he didn't want Ukraine to be admitted to NATO. Well, Finland got admitted to NATO, which doubled the border that Russia now has with a NATO country. I mean, this is something that. It's not, it's Finland, right? There's a certain level of we're not expecting a conflict there, although there is a certain level of shifting back and forth of illegal immigrants over that border. And Finland has now closed it. So he has lost on something he really wanted that Biden would not agree to, this NATO issue. At a certain point, I think he is absolutely willing to come to the table and say, I have some land, I'm ready to end this. And it's Zelensky who is like, no, the fighting has to continue. We can't let go of anything. And we really like this money being here.
You are correct, except for when Trump gets in, Zelensky just goes, my boss got fired. Who do I report to now? And then Trump's going to be like, I'm your boss. He's like, okay, boss, I'll do whatever you say.
I think so. Or he'll go to other European countries and be like, see how mean America is? They didn't elect the guy who gave me all this money.
I think Zelensky is going to be like, tell me what to do, boss.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't see him as the actual president of Ukraine.
I think Zelensky's
he's not supposed to be right now. He suspended elections.
Right.
He's just trying to save his neck, I imagine, right? Because he's the guy. If Russia gets a hold of him, he's going to die. They'd kill him.
I don't know. No, because he's just a TV personality. You know what I mean? He's the guy who literally played the president on a TV show in Ukraine for real, and they elected him. Did they? And I imagine if they capture him, Putin's going to be like, it's your boss we want. You're just some random guy. Now, that being said, possibility because he does still represent that image.
Yeah, so publicly too.
But have you guys seen Iron Man 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that, right? The Mandarin is played by Ben Kingsley. And I was so excited in the trailer for that because I'm like, oh, they're doing the Mandarin, the villain for Iron Man. And he's like, America. And I'm like, oh. And then they did the old switcheroo.
Yeah.
Ben Kingsley's character is like some stoner guy who's an actor on TV and has no idea what's going on. I'm like, that's Zelensky. If you got him in a room, he'd be like, look, I'm a comedian on TV. I have no idea what's going on. I've never seen actual frontline battle. I just do soundstage stuff.
Yeah, and he does feel like he's performing all the time. Like you saw the video of him doing the single ladies dance and like the guitar. Like hard to take that seriously. But then also he's like he actually has a costume for this conflict, right? He's always in military fatigues or military-esque clothing to remind people that they're in conflict, even when he's, obviously nowhere near any sort of fighting and he's in whatever country
in the
asking
White
for
House.
money.
Yeah.
Right. You couldn't put on a suit and he's like, no, I have this costume I've got to stick with.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.